Welcome back to Cricket for Americans. Nick here.
Gabe, the Night Watchman. Woo! Nick, I'm so excited. I am so excited. You know why I'm so excited? No.
You can't hide it.
Cricket, guys, if you already saw the thumbnail, you know why I'm excited, baby. West Indies finally getting a little bit of love. Oh, my West Indies squad.
Well, it's getting love on another episode of Cricket Tuesday.
Cricket Tuesday. Did I say Cricket Combos right?
I wanted to make sure that we didn't, I wanted to make sure we didn't forget about it because last time it was like 8 minutes in. Yes, if you saw the thumbnail, we are watching a Breakfast with Champions for Michael Holding. And Gabe, just in case someone has lived under a rock in the cricket world, let the people know who Michael Holding is.
Ooh, you guys see me holding, all right, the kookaburra right over here.
No pun intended,
right?
Holding?
Listen. Holding is one of the 4 horsemen of death, cousin. All right? Nobody wanted to smoke. Bro, for the uninitiated, Holding is one of the 4 horsemen of death, cousin. You know what I'm saying? Woo! Putting in work. Bro, I first learned about Michael Holding when CFA Nation told us about, listen, you guys got to check out this documentary, Fire in Babylon. And then we watched and how feared they were, how respected they were. Of course, with that team with Sir Viv Richards and of course the rest of the 4 horsemen, Roberts, Holding, Croft, right? Colin Croft was on there, and bro, they were such a thing that in the recent movie we watched, 83, which unfortunately flopped, even though I loved it. 83, it was funny, right? Because the Indian team, right? The Indian national team is just there, and they're all like watching them practice in the nets, right? And they're like, they call him Whispering Death. You know what I mean? They're watching them all over there, the fastest of all. And they're like,
it's a horror movie?
That's my line of the movie. He's like, bro, well, is this a cricket game or a horror movie, bro? But I mean, it's that serious. You know what I mean? And these guys were absolute savages on the field. And it's cool because now Michael Holding, we've come to know him as the announcer, the honest announcer. We've watched him from time to time as he's broadcasting. And I think that we expect him to be more what's the word, Nick? More fiery, but he's got such a calm demeanor. He could be the nicest guy in the world. But my West Indies getting some love here on Cricket Tuesday and on Breakfast of Champions. I'm so excited to review, or I should say react to this video. Nick, talk to me, brother.
So, I love it. So, Michael Holding is the monster, right? And this is a Patron request from Turning Point. I'm sure Turning Point's sitting there. He's a loyal viewer, subscriber, always has a great knowledge. Usually gives me the correct knowledge when I give the incorrect knowledge. And he's so fantastic. And he said, you got to check this out. I'm sure he's wondering, when is this Michael Holding? It's coming today, baby. Michael Holding, like you said, is a gentleman. He's got that sweet voice, right? It's such a great cricket voice. Unfortunately, he retired not too long ago, so he's not going to be commentating in the future. This guy was born in Kingston, Jamaica. And as we were getting ready for this video, I was looking up some stuff about him that I don't want to give away, but he's gone through some stuff, right? For me, he's the biggest name of the 4 horsemen. But he still got himself 240 some odd wickets in 60 matches in tests, for crying out loud. Right. I think his highest thing is still a record for West Indies, 14 wickets in a match. Ooh. And in those 60 matches, I don't have it right in front of me. In those 60 matches, this guy had, here we go. I think 13 times. Let me make sure I get this right. Yeah, 13 times he got a fifer in 60 matches. Are you kidding me? Like, this guy was a monster.
You know what's funny?
And I don't want to, real quick, I don't want to steal his thunder, but one of my favorite quotes as I was doing some research, he said, I didn't care who was at the crease. That's a savage right there. I don't care what the name is. I don't care how big they are. I don't care how small they are. I'm coming after you, baby.
You know what? Correct me, because I know you already did the research and you're always a stats guy. I would have thought that Holding was the top of the 4 horsemen. But is it Roberts or Garner?
So what's crazy, Gabe, is Michael Holding is the name that I think of most as the 4 horsemen, but technically he has the second most test wickets of the 4 horsemen. Who do you think's got the most?
I
by 10. by 10 wickets.
I would think it was Roberts. I've seen Roberts bowl, man, and he was an absolute savage. I know Garner was the real tall one, and Croft might have been the fastest, but I still think it was Roberts. I may be wrong. I know you're a stats guy, so you're gonna give it to us.
Well, I don't have it memorized. I got it right in front of me. It was Garner.
No,
Garner, and you're right. What they call him? They called him Bird, right, or something like
Bird,
that. In
he was
at least
huge.
83.
Yeah.
So he had 10 more wickets, two fewer matches. So I mean, they're really close right there. And then you got Roberts, your man Roberts. He had 202 wickets, but he had 13 less matches, fewer matches than Holding. And then you got Croft, only 27 matches, but 125 wickets. So there's some numbers for you guys. Anyone else, there's a numbers guys or number girl. There you go. There's that. But we're going to check out this Breakfast with Champions. I'm not sure if we mentioned that. I think we have. As a Patron request, and we love Breakfast with Champions. If you love these interviews, because Gaurav, he really gets into it, right? He really asks questions, and he also lets the interview kind of take a life of its own, right? I'm sure he has notes for days. I'm sure he's very prepared, but it's almost like he studies those notes and he goes into it, and he's just shooting the breeze. And there are some guys with conversational skills, right, and he definitely has those. So I'm excited to see what kind of stuff they mentioned here. I know that Michael Holding in his time has really used his platform to speak about racism, right, and to speak about not ignoring racism, to understand where it's at and to squash it. And so I'm curious his perspective if he goes into that. If not, there's another video we got to request to check out where he speaks out about racism in the game. But I don't want to spoil or predict or assume anything. We're going to jump right into this.
Let's make it happen, cousin.
All right. Please don't forget to like and subscribe. And here we go.
Well, let me tell you something. 1983. If you're outside of Mumbai, and you wanted to call, or as it was called Bombay those days, you wanted to call the Caribbean, you took up the phone in your hotel room. You spoke to the hotel operator. Yeah. The hotel operator called the Bombay operator. The Bombay operator called the London operator. And then the London operator called the operator in whichever island you are. And then that operator called your home. So if any one of those links dropped, the call was dead. You have to start all over again.
Wow.
Had to keep all the links open.
Called him whispering death when he was playing. But now, his voice is as comforting and safe as his bowling was disconcerting and dangerous. Today,
Nice.
I'm with the legendary West Indian fast bowler Michael Holding, and I'm going to try to convince him to love T20 cricket just as much as I do. This is not going to be easy.
I love it.
That's
Have a different
funny.
beginning for Breakfast with Champions.
Yeah, no, for sure.
Greatest in your time in terms of batsmen.
I.B.A. Richards.
Yeah.
No doubt.
Ooh, Viv Richards,
Like
baby.
Ruby and Alexander, everybody's favorite. Like for me growing up, the money shot was just him walking out to bat, chewing his gum.
Some water.
Yes, water would be great.
Mineral water.
No water for me. No water for me.
Mineral water, please, and rum for chill. You're not very big on the liquid, are you?
Water is for fish, man.
I love it.
Oh,
Yeah, this is definitely going to be one of their more earlier
the
videos.
West Indian fast bowlers of the 70s, all of you. I see, if I was making a film, I'd see you all walking in slow motion. There's a cigar, trench coat, there's a couple
Trench
of
coat and
guns.
the gun sticking out.
Yeah, maybe there's a hat for one of you. That's did you guys
Magnificent
feel like
four.
that? Did you feel like you guys were like the mob, like the henchmen of the mob?
I don't think we looked at ourselves that way. Well, I certainly didn't.
Don't get in our way, because you're
No,
gonna
well,
pay.
The team on a whole was a confident team. We figured more times than not we had a pretty good chance of winning, but we didn't go around boasting about it.
You didn't
love
have
that.
to, because whispering death doesn't shout.
He's such a goofball.
Did you have a lot of people referring to you as that when you were playing, or did that happen with smart copywriting? Only people start calling you that towards the end. Do you remember when
I don't
the
remember.
first time you heard it?
Not exactly. I remember where I was, and I remember who said it to me.
Yeah.
But I don't remember if I was still. I think more than likely I was still playing.
Yeah.
And the person told me it was a guy called Paul Newman that used to write for the News of the World. There's another Paul Newman now who writes the Daily Mail.
Okay.
And he was the one who told me about this whispering death thing.
Such a great name.
I said to him, where did you get this whispering death? He said, you didn't know that's your nickname? I said, no. I said, no, Dickie Bird who gave it to me.
So who was the biggest challenge for you to bowl to?
There's not one particular guy. There were quite a few, in my opinion, great batsmen in my time.
Yeah, like who? Who did
But
you?
when I first started, I bowled against the two Chapels. They were great batsmen. And as time went on, it bowled against people like Sunil Gavaskar, Graham Gooch, Goa, Javed Miandad, Zaire Abbas, Martin Crowe from New Zealand. People thought, oh, 4 fast bowlers, just go to and bowl bouncers all day. People will get out. We were meticulous with our planning. And we sat down and planned opposition batsmen. The only thing we did not do a lot of, our batsmen didn't plan too much against opposition bowlers.
Yeah.
And we bowlers used to complain about that.
Yeah.
And the Roberts in particular used to stand up in meetings and say, okay, we plan for their batsmen. We're not planning for their bowlers. And they might spend 5 minutes on that.
And in a time when there was not too much data or analytics, it was all there.
All
That's
of
what
it.
you remembered.
We had nothing to look back on. Just
Wow.
memory.
What do you think about the over-reliance on data now?
Well, I just say they're over-reliance. Anything you put over on, it means it's too much. I have no problem with people looking back on data, looking back on film and whatever. But when it takes over from common sense and your natural thinking,
Yes.
obviously it's got to be too much.
Come on, Brandon Staley. Listen to that.
Whoa. Drive by.
So I have to tell you, just like yourself, I'm a huge fan of Test cricket. For me, that's the holy grail.
That's all.
Oh, yeah,
That's
baby.
the ultimate. I maybe don't watch every ball for 5 days, but I always know what's happening in every session. And I said this once to somebody.
Absolutely.
I said, Test cricket is like chess, and 2020 cricket is like speed chess.
Test cricket is like life. You will get up one morning,
Yeah,
you don't feel on top of the world.
yeah.
You don't do your job wherever you work the best that you possibly can. Same thing with Test match cricket. Because it's 5 days, doesn't mean all
It's a
5
work
days
week.
you're going to be on top of the world. A one-day game or this 2020 thing that they play, whatever happens that day, that's it. There's no
2020
other
thing that they play.
in a Test match.
I love
You
it.
gotta love it.
99% of the time, the better team will win
Right.
if there is a result.
See, now I like that. I like
Wow,
that. because
99%
when
of
you
the time.
say, it's quite interesting when you say Test cricket's like life. I think almost 2020 has become like what life is right now,
No,
which is the wrong version of life.
no. That's
Instant.
not life. Not,
He's not liking it.
people who want everything instantly, instant gratification, they're not living.
True.
That's not living. You hear them say walk, stop and smell the roses.
Yeah.
Those people just walking past the roses.
For me, nothing in magic with Test cricket because the better team is winning. You have sessions, you have plays,
Dude, he's
you
so
have
right, though.
setups. You see,
Yeah.
we like stuff
Yeah.
like that, but we're also a diminishing breed, aren't we? Of people who like
For
and
sure.
appreciate the
For sure.
nuances.
You know why? Because Test cricket is not as entertaining now as it used to be. There's too much Test cricket. And there are too many games that mean nothing.
For me, 2020 is like
Nice.
a blockbuster film, right? It's a blockbuster.
No.
Summer blockbuster,
No,
Fast
no.
and Furious.
You won't give him anything.
Okay, a cartoon.
It's a
3
cartoon.
glasses.
They will never get nominated for an Academy Award.
Awesome cartoon.
Oh.
Who
Oh.
act in them?
Oh, man, I love
Yeah, they
it.
can't.
Exactly. Exactly.
Oh,
Dude, he's not giving an inch. I love
No.
it.
shooting me down. People are
Yes.
coming out to watch it.
People go to McDonald's as well. Like people go to McDonald's.
Oh my gosh.
I love it.
That food.
Telling you right.
Oh my gosh. What a
It's
great
a great learning as
reply.
well. Is there anything at all that you think, not like, I'm not asking if you like it because it's very,
Yeah, yeah.
I think it's evident that is there anything in it that you think could be a positive?
Oh, he's
Definitely.
desperate.
Definitely. What the shorter forms of the game have done, 50 over now, 20 over cricket, what they have done, is that they have made people's mindset change. Cricketers I'm talking about to be a lot more positive, a lot more aggressive,
Innovative.
which then seeps back into Test cricket because we're seeing a lot more results now in Test match cricket, which is great for the game.
Right.
So those are big positives that have come out of the shorter forms of the game. I have no problem with that aspect of it at all.
Yeah.
Cricketers are now a lot fitter as well, but much more athletic. You're seeing some fantastic pieces of fielding and some athleticism in the shorter forms of the game now that are again slowly but surely gravitating in and getting into Test cricket. So that aspect of it is fantastic.
Dude, this guy is a genius.
Dude, I love Michael Holding.
Have you been watching the cricket at all?
When
you watch when the cricket is on.
When it starts, I'll watch it. I haven't seen any cricket since I got here.
But you're still here. A lot of people ask me this.
I'm here because my wife is here, not because of whatever is happening at these cricket
The
grounds.
things we have to do for love, right?
Well, life is a compromise.
But she can't get you to the cricket ground, can she?
Not while cricket is on. I've been to the cricket ground
Yeah, but
more than once.
I love it. I'm trying to bowl these Yorkers, but you keep stepping out, turning them into full tosses and hitting them out of the park.
AB the million start.
You've learned well. You must be proud of you. Would you have liked bowling at AB?
It would have been a challenge, and you know, if you're worth your salt, you welcome challenges.
Absolutely.
Sometimes he's gonna win, sometimes you hope that you'll win, and that's basically what happens when you're a Test cricketer or you're a cricketer of the highest order. It's not every day that you're gonna win, whether you're a batsman or a bowler. He made the fastest, 50 fastest, 100 fastest, 115 all in one innings.
Yeah.
I haven't seen anyone that can play shots in a 360 degree circle like AB de Villiers. You know, you've always had batsmen that have been able to hit the ball all over the park and hit big sixes. But they hit the ball in all directions, you know, which makes it pretty difficult to set a field for him. And then makes it difficult to actually bowl to it. You go in with a plan, yes, because you have to have some sort of a plan. But it's more a plan of hope than expectations.
You just hope
Yeah,
that one day he steps so far away from his wicket that he can't
you hope
reach
he
the
makes
ball.
a mistake.
But that's the best.
And you have got to be on top of your game.
But he doesn't make that many.
No, well, he's a great player. Great players don't make many mistakes, otherwise they wouldn't be great.
How do we get more lethal fast bowlers?
Play
Tell
less
us.
cricket.
Play less cricket?
Yeah.
Gosh,
Nobody
he's
can
so
bowl
right.
fast for the amount of cricket that they are being
So
asked
you're
to play
saying,
now.
but that is what you're saying to preserve our current lot of fast bowlers, right?
Too
'Cause
much cricket.
They will break down. You can't make them bowl 250 days in a year.
Exactly.
Jafar
you play
Archer,
less
great
cricket, the
example.
fast bowlers will be able to bowl fast when they turn up. They can't turn up every day and bowl fast. Did you see Wahab Riaz bowling to Watson in the World Cup?
Yeah.
How many times have you seen Wahab Riaz do that?
Yeah. You obviously have to really upset him. to get him
No,
to do
because
that.
not just upset him, because he can't do it.
Yeah.
That was a special occasion when he thought, hell, I have to get some wickets.
Yeah.
So he put everything in. If he was playing less cricket, he could do that on a much more regular basis. He can't turn up again next week and do the same thing, and then the following week and do it. He can't.
Now, when you explain it like that, it makes perfect sense.
Yes.
No, it does. It does to me. What doesn't make sense to me is this cup. So why would you have this here?
It's not very practical. It's
You're talking about the little handle that we can't see.
It's still just milk. I believe you're not truly Jamaican. You can't sing.
they're saying like I'm not truly West Indian because I don't drink rum.
You don't sing or drink rum?
No.
Who is this
Good
imposter?
man. Good
Who is
man.
this man? Check his ID. I read somewhere that you had an interesting thing with music when you were a kid. Was it your father who really wanted you to have
No.
some music in you? Or? No?
My brother,
Oh.
even now, he's 5 years older than I am, still plays music, great musician. Used to go to studios in Jamaica and back up the reggae artists and that sort of thing. Formed his own band in Germany,
Wow.
all that sort of thing. He's musically inclined, I am not. We both went to the same school. The headmaster at the school, when I arrived, said to me, "Your brother can sing. You have got to be able to sing." His name was Douglas Forrest. I said, "Mr. Forrest, I can't sing, sir." He said, "No, come up on the stage here. You have got to be able to sing."
Wow. Look at that.
After the first line, he patted me on the back and said, "It's okay."
I think you're the Morgan.
That would happen to me.
Everything
Freeman.
must have a bit of narration from you.
Yes.
It's familiar.
so.
Yes.
It's good. And it feels comfortable.
Yes.
Oh, we just heard Mikey's voice. Everything's going to be all right.
That is awesome.
It's going to be aight. You're the Morgan Freeman of cricket broadcasting.
You're talking about the modern world and apps. There's a guy in England developing an app with my voice on it.
There you go.
I would pay for that app.
It might just bomb out, but who knows?
So,
Yes.
so it's
Look that up.
a cricket app, or is it?
Yeah, it's going to be a cricket app.
I
Or
wouldn't
to
even
do
mind
with
your
cricket.
voice on Google Maps.
And then when something goes wrong with the GPS and you crash, oh, that Michael Holding made me crash.
And if it's an old batsman, you say, that Michael Holding made me hurt my head again. For the second time. Excellent. Thank you so much, Mikey.
No, man, my pleasure. No problem at all.
It was amazing. That was good.
All right, Gabe. I already know, or I think I know. You know, I'm a pretty confident guy. I think I know what you want to talk about first. And it's what I want to talk about first. How many times have I heard you say before we were, even when we're not recording, because sometimes, guys, when we're done recording, we'll sit here and shoot the breeze for like 30 or 40 minutes, right?
Right.
I've heard Gabe say so many times what Michael Holding said right there about too much cricket. Too much cricket. And in a lot of ways, it's ruining the game. I'm not sure if you've touched a lot about how it's ruining players. And maybe you have. Sometimes I tune you out. I'm not going to lie. But how is that not a great nugget right there? I've never thought about that before. And maybe you have mentioned that with performances. I never put two and two together. I want to know what your thoughts are about that, because that's fantastic.
Ultimately, it's coming from a former player, Nick. And again, people do not understand these players that are playing. They're just not. They're human beings. They're flesh and blood like you and I. And again, muscles strain, muscles get pulled, muscles get worked out. You do anything too long, and again, you need a break.
They're not superheroes?
They're not superheroes. They're men. They're mortal. I know we look at athletes as the closest things to, like, gods, basically, or physical gods, but they are mortal. And in most sports, you have an off season. There is no off season in cricket, Nick. There is no off season in cricket. A little spoiler for a future a video we're gonna do. We just had both Ben Stokes and Joe Root opt out of the IPL. Good on you, my friend. You get it. You get it. And I think that because of I mean, I'm not as I love Test cricket. I do. But because of the popularity of the IPL, because of the popularity of the shorter format, T20, it ain't going anywhere, Nick. It's just not, all right? What needs to be done is that, to his point, there's too much Test cricket, matches that don't matter, and it should be a pinnacle to have these Test matches. Meaning, when we're talking about the Ashes, when we're talking about these huge matches, the WTC World Cup. But you've got teams that don't have a prayer to get into the WTC that are playing Test matches, and there's got to be less Test matches. Vice versa, there's also got to be less T20 cricket, because you're competing with those domestic leagues. But players cannot play 300 days a year, bro. It just cannot happen. Your body can't do it, all right? Physically, Jofra Archer, I think, is one of the most talented bowlers I've ever seen. And in a short spell, I don't think his career will ever be the same, Nick. I just don't, okay? And again, if you go to the gym, anybody who, forget about cricket, if you've ever worked out and been on a gym program, you've got that rest, right? You can't go in 7 days a week, just, no, right? You build up, you tear up, then you rest. That's how it works. There is no rest, okay? It's one of those things where I think that they've got to be able to get together and say, either the players, and the problem is there's not the money in Test cricket that there is in the shorter formats like the IPL, like the BBL. You understand what I'm saying? So if Test cricket doesn't have that to offer, then the ICC needs to go ahead and look at it and say, okay, well, we have to reduce the amount of Test matches as well as the amount of T20 matches, ODI matches, because we know these domestic leagues aren't going anywhere. And the reality is that players got to feed their families. You know what I'm saying? When guys are making as much to play, 2 months in the IPL as they are all season to play, it matters, guys. Guys got to feed their family. But with that being said, Nick, I'm so glad that he said it because this is a respected guy. Now, Gaurav, once again, you are right, bro. He is a genius. He lets the interview take him wherever. And instead of trying to challenge Michael Holding and trying to be an advocate for T20 cricket, he just laughed. I'm just going to let you speak your piece and let you. And the interview came out so naturally. The last thing I want to talk about real quick before I turn it back over to you, Nick, what did you think about something else that we've talked about many times here at CFA Nation when Michael Holding is specifically speaking about not just Test cricket or versus T20 cricket, but what we've talked about where the best team wins in Test cricket 90% of the time, 95% of the times. I don't know if it's 99, but you're not going to see that in T20 because literally in the IPL, for instance, the toss is unbelievably important. Even when we saw the World Cup, right, for T20, winning that toss was so integral because if you don't win that toss, you can't dictate the match. Guess what? India just won the match. Won the toss. I think it was all 3 times in South Africa. Did they win the whole series? No, because the best team for those conditions are normally going to win when you win in Test cricket because it's a 5-day match. The elements, the dew, all that stuff does not come into play where it does in T20, and I think that's something that's got to be addressed in T20. What did you think about him addressing that?
I think it's an amazing point. He made a lot of amazing points. Even his rebuttals, like the McDonald's, that was genius. Because I felt like Gaurav there, because I like T20.
Right.
I like Test more. And it's interesting. Another point he made about Test, it made me kind of think like it's kind of for those old souls. I've always been told I have an old soul. I'll have a better chance of getting along with someone like with your grandpa than with you in most circumstances. Because I just always been more of a traditional guy, and maybe that's why I like Test. But to talk about what you were saying, in Test, yes, people already knew. They were calling for the whitewash in the Ashes, right? And even though there was that draw, they still won 4 matches to nothing. People knew what was going to happen. The better team typically wins. I agree with you. I don't know about 99%. But in the shorter format, especially T20, and that's one of the reasons I love it, anybody could win, right? That's been the football's, NFL's biggest, motto for years is on any given Sunday, any team can win. You don't know. Some people might hate that. The athletes themselves might hate that. We were supposed to win. But as fans, we love that. And I think that's why people are gravitating to T20. Again, I love what Gaurav kept trying to do with the T20 on Michael Holding because he wasn't having it. But he at least he wasn't like one of these guys who was being annoying and just couldn't give an inch. Right? He's like, oh, definitely there's things that can come from it. And what he had said is it's helped improve the product of Test because these guys, they're in better shape. They're better specimens. They can feel better. They can do all these different things. But like he said, how is a fast bowler going to be as fast every single week? Gabe, we can't keep up with the schedule for our favorite teams in cricket for crying out loud. We can't keep up with one day of a 5-day match in Test. And these guys, I couldn't believe it. India came off the World Cup. They came off it. And that next Wednesday, they were having a tour with New Zealand. The next Wednesday, it never stops for these players. And I feel so bad for them. But yes, I think there's definitely different outlooks. What I will say, though, is it seems like a lot of fans, at least that we interact with, if you're a fan of Test, you also give T20 and ODI a chance. Right. You might have your favorite, and maybe your favorite's T20. It's definitely more of a younger man's game as far as fan bases go. But, man, he had so many amazing thoughts. But I love the thing about how it has improved the game of Test. It's improved the state of play. I just wish for the athletes themselves, if they can afford it, that they stuck to like one format. I know that's sacrilege because you want to see Virat Kohli every single match. But if they stay with one format, you would think that they'd play better. But then you also have this idea of rust. Like it's been too long since they played last. That's why, I mean, it's an interesting argument. I don't know if I completely agree with him on that point, but I know he's speaking from the perspective of a fast bowler, and that's just simple science. You wear that arm out, you're not going to be as fresh or as fast.
Right. And you're going to lose some years. Nick, you're going to lose some years. What you will see moving forward is that you're not going to have guys having 20-year careers anymore. All right? You're not going to see guys, and we've seen it in baseball, right? Guys used to, what did Nolan Ryan pitch into? Until Nolan Ryan was
44 years old, 40 years. 44,
that's not going to happen. That's not going to happen. You add more games. Guys are playing in the off season. They're playing in the World Cup. We're talking about baseball here. There's just the World Baseball Classic, I should say. Winter League. There's just your body can only take so much, Nick. Right? What did he say? Oh, too much of anything. Over. Too much. Anything you add over to is a bad thing. There's too much. It's an overuse of the body, overuse of the arm, overuse of the skills. So I think that's a very good point. I think the other thing that really stands out to me about this interview is he's like, listen, we weren't going around bragging that we were the best, but we knew generally, especially, when you showed up, we were going to win. Bottom line, we were that talented, we were going to win. But he did give the credit when I asked him, listen, who was good? Who was a difficult person? He didn't just say one guy. Right, Sunil Gavaskar, like the big names or whatever. Kapil Dev. Yeah. He gave him a list. There were a lot of guys that were hard to bowl to. There were tons of guys. Just because we were good, and just because you're a fast bowler doesn't mean you just come out and bowl bouncers all day or whatever. You're gonna get out. You got to come in with plans. All right, you got to use that speed and use that God-given athletic ability, but you also got to come in with a plan. If you don't got a plan, you're gonna get crushed out there. And I love that he said it's attention to detail. We would plan for the batsmen, but we wouldn't plan for the bowlers. Well, that tail wags sometimes. So you got, like, he was such a consummate professional, and you could tell that's why he became great as an athlete. You know what I mean? And as one of the four horsemen. Bro, I can't stop gushing about this interview. Not only because he confirmed some of the things we've been talking about for a long time here on CFA Nation, but because I think as an athlete, he gets it. Now, I think the one thing he has to acknowledge, which he didn't acknowledge there, is why are players gravitating towards T20? Because it's more money. Bottom line, the IPL is ridiculous amount of money. BBL is up there. Listen, England's got the 100 now. All right, these shorter formats, in a short amount of time, you're going to make big money. And these athletes got to feed their families, Nick. They have to, okay? I never criticize an athlete for trying to put food on the table, because their career may be 7 years, it may be 10 years, it may be 20 years, it could be 3. You may be done, all right, after 3 years, cousin. There's guys that'll get what you call a drink of coffee or a cup of coffee and never see the light of day again. We just saw Uzi come back after a 2-year hiatus on tests, right? Like, yo, you got to eat. You got to feed your family. All right. A lot of people have helped you get to this position. A lot of people have sacrificed to help you get to this position as an athlete. So you want to pay them back. So what is Test's plan and the ICC's plan for that? How do we compensate our athletes fairly? How do we get better marketing deals to make sure we make more money so that we can compensate our athletes, so that athletes don't make as much money playing? What did Patty Cummings get paid, bro? $2 million, bro, to play in the IPL for 2 months? Are you kidding me? Come on, man. You got to pay the guys. You got to take care of them. I would like Test Cricket to come up with some kind of plan to get more sponsorship and more money, more revenue to disperse amongst the players.
Let me close on this, and this is going to tick you off, which is why I'm going to do it. And this is not really related. That was a great video by Michael Holding, Turning Point. Thank you so much for that request. That was fantastic. I listened to this guy speak all day, and he seems like a regular guy, and he seems like a guy who he feels the way he feels, and he's not too worried about impressing anyone or anything like that. I really respect that. I loved a lot of things that he said. But to talk about the West Indies just a little bit, I'm sure you know this. They just lost an ODI series against Ireland, right? And the reason why I'm bringing this up is he had mentioned, like in Test, 99% of the time, the better team won. I don't want to judge Ireland. We saw their T20 team in person. I did not think that their ODI. I think it was their first series win against an ICC full member. Just real quick, some thoughts on that.
I hate you. Oh, I hate you. I hate you. Listen, here's the reality. And this is going back, and I think that maybe this is why he's a little salty. It was ODI. Nick, West Indies players do not focus on tests. I'm sorry, they don't. Okay? West Indies players do not focus on ODIs. They just don't. Yeah, do players play there? Yes. But I believe there may not be another and I was gonna say country, but obviously West Indies is a conglomerate of a bunch of smaller little islands, right? But West Indies play everywhere. BBL, IPL, the 100, the LPL, everywhere, every single T20 league, because what? It makes money. The CPL, their own T20 league. So if it was that they only stuck to the CPL and then spent the rest of the time on T20 and on ODI and test, that's one thing. But is that the case? No. They play everywhere. All right. You know for a fact, Indian players. How many Indian players do you see play in the IPL? In the BBL. How many Indian players do you see play in the 100? All right. Do you know that they're not playing in the LPL or in the what's the
PSL?
The PSL, right? Same thing. Like, think about it. West Indies play everywhere, every single league.
Everywhere.
Okay. When are you focusing on your home team? When are you focusing on tests? When are you focusing on that? They don't. They don't. And I can't blame them. Why? Because the West Indies is probably the most underpaid as far as cricket goes, test nation than anywhere else. Bottom line. And these guys got to feed families. All right. So did it happen? Yes. Again, why has West Indies and why has the product not improved, or why has it gone down since '83? Are these players any less physically able or capable than the Four Horsemen or than some of the other guys back then? No. They've just focused on the shorter format of the game, which means power, less discipline at the strike, less waiting. You're trying to score as many runs as little overs as possible. That's what you're doing when you're playing in T20 format, okay? And it is what it is, bro. I mean, it's frustrating to me. As a West Indies fan, it's frustrating. But am I gonna criticize Pollard, or am I gonna criticize some of the other great West Indies players? Absolutely not. Listen, I get it. They got to do what they got to do to feed their families, and that's a question for the West Indies Cricket Board. What are you gonna do to make sure that your guys don't have to go play everywhere in every single domestic T20 league to make money? Nick, I saw West Indies players that literally went from playing in the PSL and they couldn't finish that season because then it immediately was the IPL, then it was BBL. Oh, and before that, they played the CPL. What?
County leagues, all that kind of clubs. I mean, it's oversaturation. I just had to do that to him. Sorry, West Indies fans. Pollard, 3 runs on 17 balls. Oh my gosh. But thank you so much for watching this on Cricket Tuesday. Don't forget to like and subscribe and tell us what you want to listen to next time. And until next time.
That's 6 runs.